Hello, 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 viewers. This is I am Stacey Thomas, and this is the Stacey Thomas Unrestricted Unlimited Talk Show. For those of you who are new, why do we say unrestricted unlimited? Don't put us in a box. You never know where God is going to take you, okay? And today I have beautiful, and yes, I am somebody that gets kind of personal with people, Dr. Tamara Rose. Hello, sweetheart.
Hello, hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am fantastic, super excited to be chatting with you today. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Dr. Tamara, I remember when and I've always I know people say Stacey always has a story, but I remember first seeing you on Facebook. It was because of a beer and candy consultant.
Okay.
And she said, you've got to check her out. So I remember coming on Facebook and looking at your page, and you were quite interesting then. Little did I know you were even more interesting. It's just that you had to stay on a little longer, had to do a little research and read about you. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna share her. I'm gonna share her with people one day. So here we are.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. I honor you. You know, from the very first time we talked, it was a very divine connection. And I'm super excited. I remember, you know, you asked me some questions and it was very interesting because you were like, okay, now explain this to me. Now, what about that? What do you mean? You know? And so I really enjoyed it. And I knew at that moment that it would be something amazing that would happen.
Thank you, because I am somebody, not everybody can handle me because I'm curious.
Yes.
And unlike people that follow what man says, if you're different than what I'm accustomed to, I am not going to be quick to judge. Instead of turning my nose up at a person for what they're doing or what they're speaking about, I want to know, Dr. Tamara.
Right.
I want to know. So you have so many titles, right?
Yeah.
Talk about a strong, intelligent woman. I have on the flyer, Sacred Womb Healing Ordained Minister, Spiritual Practitioner, Intuitive Guide, Clinical Sex Therapist, Women's Healing Arts Teacher, Author, and Speaker with more than 30 years of experience in womb wellness and women's sexuality. Wow.
Yeah.
I want to start from the beginning.
Okay.
From reading your book. And do you have the book with you? I Am Sex. All right, sweetheart. That's to make sure they see it. I Am Sex. I love that book.
Thank you.
When someone sees that title, they won't know what it's really about until they read it. You know, that's the interesting, but it's an attention grabber for sure.
Yes.
So as a child, you mentioned your mother. She sounds like an amazing woman.
Thank you.
She sounds like she's the way a lot of women should be, because you said something about when your mother, and I hope I'm not being too personal. Well, I read this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Explain to you and a friend about sex. And candy. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so, you know, my mother, just given her experiences growing up as a little girl and my grandmother not really talking to her about sex, my grandmother pretty much gave her a book and was like, read it when she was a kid. And, you know, that can be pretty traumatizing to a kid. And so from that, my mother took away that when she had her child, she was going to make sure that she educated her daughter about sexuality. But in a way that was developmentally appropriate and medically accurate, you know. And so growing up, like my mother, she always had these conversations with me about sexuality. I mean, sometimes I just wasn't here for it because as a little girl, you know, I just want to play with my dolls. I don't want you coming into my room at 9 with no childcraft book talking to me about my menstrual cycle, my period. Like, I just wasn't here for that. But, you know, as I got older and I got, you know, more and more curious, the questions about sexuality, you know, they came and I would ask her questions and she never shut me down. She never turned me away. If she didn't have the answer at the time, she would definitely get it. And so my house became the house that all the kids came to have conversations about sexuality, like me and my little girlfriends. And, you know, so one day we were riding in the car on our way to the mall, listening to the radio. know, and we were just having a conversation about boys because I had a little boyfriend, and you know, my friends had their little boyfriends or whatever, and so we're in the car having this conversation, and she was like, yeah, you know, she was trying to explain to us the emotional aspect of sexuality, because most of us at that time, of course, we didn't really associate emotional aspects of sexuality to intercourse or anything like that. We just knew, you know, most of the physical aspect in terms of getting pregnant, sexually transmitted infections and things like that. And to be honest, a lot of us still don't really make that connection, but as adults. But she explained to us, you know, she said, you know, when you start having sex, she said, it's going to be something that you crave, something that your body desires. And so to make it very plain and to help me understand in all of my 16-year-old glory, she said to me, it's like chocolate. She's like, you know how you like a Hershey bar, you like M&Ms? Because I listen, I love chocolate still to this day. And she said, you know how you always want, you know, to get a candy bar, you want chocolate, you want this, you want that. And I said, yeah. She was like, well, that's kind of what sex is like. She said, once you start having sex, your body will begin to crave it, just like you crave chocolate. And to me, that made so much sense because I understood based on the fact of how much I desired and wanted chocolate. And so again, I can say that I was very appreciative of my mother's conversations because she related those conversations around sexuality to things that I could relate to at those ages when she had those conversations with me.
Wow. See, because a lot of mothers, at least in my house, Dr. Tamara, it was, and I love my mother, she said, you better not let anybody touch you. You better not let any boys do this, and you better not do that. And I know she did the best she could, right?
Right.
But it would have been so much easier. A conversation like that if more mothers would talk to their daughters. It would be so much more easier. And I think having her speak to you like that, was it easy for you to go and talk to her about things when it came to boys?
Yeah, you know, she made it very easy for me to have the conversation because, again, like I said, she was open and she was committed to trying to help me understand. Because again, and when I was 13, I told her I wanted to be a sex therapist. And so her being a therapist herself, you know, she asked me, she said, okay, now you say you want to be a sex therapist. And I was like, what does that mean when you say that kind of a conversation? And so in my mind, you know, just growing up and understanding that my friends didn't have a space to be able to have conversations about sexuality, I wanted to be that safe space where women and girls, especially brown women and brown girls, could come and talk to about sexuality. I wanted them to know that it was okay to have these conversations. In fact, not only was it okay, but it was necessary. It was important because sexuality is who we are, right? And so, you know, my mother being so open and her having that understanding about sexuality, it made it easier, but it made it easy for me to come to her, but it was not always necessarily comfortable, if that makes sense. Because sometimes the topics were, you know, a little bit different, and it probably pushed her outside her comfort zone because this is her daughter not having these very intimate questions about sexuality. And no mother wants to necessarily say, hey, yeah, you have sex and this is how you do it. But because I was curious and because she was determined to make sure I made the right choices, informed choices, which meant she gave me the information that I needed to make the best choice possible for myself. It was a great thing for me because one of the things that she said to me that stuck with me and still sticks with me was that every time you have sex with somebody, make sure this is a person that you truly want to be committed to or attached to for the rest of your life. Because she was saying that you can get pregnant at any time by this person, especially if you're having unprotected sex. And because even if you're having sex with a condom, the condom can break. So make sure that this is somebody that you want to potentially be tied to, you know, for the rest of your life. And so conversations like that, those real raw conversations help to inform me in my sexual decisions. Because every time I had sex with somebody or wanted to have sex with somebody or partnered with someone, I said, you know, is this somebody I want to potentially be tied to that could potentially father one of my children? Like, what would that look like for the rest of my life? You know, and so I know that a lot of women didn't get these conversations. A lot of women today are still not having these conversations, you know, with their children, male or female.
Wow. So what would you say? This is 2 questions.
Okay.
Talking to mothers or fathers that are watching, what age do you think is a good age to start talking to their young girls? And you have some parents that think if you talk about it, it makes them curious. What do you say about that?
I say Keep in mind, see, the reason why adults don't want to talk to children, and I talk about this in my book, it's not the birds and the bees, it's sex, because we need to start calling these things as they are. The reason why parents and adults and other caregivers of children, teenagers, do not want to have this conversation, because we get stuck in our adult mind and how we conceptualize sexuality, which usually equates to sexual intercourse. But what folk got to understand is that when we talk about sexuality, we're talking about not just intercourse, because that's a very, 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 very small part of our sexuality. We're talking about our life. We're talking about how we were created. We're talking about our biology. We're talking about our chemistry. We're talking about our reproductive health. We're talking about hygiene, for crying out loud. Like, there's no reason a young woman should be sitting in class and get her menstrual cycle or her period and not know what's going on to her. That's a part of sexuality. That's a conversation that you need to be having with your baby girl, because she shouldn't think she's dying because she has her menstrual cycle. We should be celebrating and honoring the fact that we're having our menstrual cycle, because that bleeding time is some of the most powerful and energetical time of a woman's life, the most magical time of a woman's life. But because of how it's framed in Western society and in our culture, it's something that's dirty, nasty, and stigmatized. And we need to start having conversations in a different way about that. But a good age is any age. As soon as the child is able to comprehend in a very developmentally appropriate way what you're saying, you need to begin having the conversations. For example, how do you wash yourself as a young woman? You know, your vaginal area. How do you wipe yourself when you go to the bathroom? Because if you're not wiping the right way, you could potentially, get infections and bacteria inside of your vagina, inside of your vulva. Right? Even when it comes to anatomy and the parts of the body, we need to be calling those parts of the body what they are. And we need to start that at a very early age, because, so for example, we need to be letting our little girls know that a vagina is a vagina, a vulva is a vulva, and not a cupcake, a purse, a pocketbook, or any of these things. And here's why. Because there was a situation where this teacher, she was a kindergarten teacher, and this little girl kept telling this teacher, my daddy is eating my cupcake, or my muffin, my muffin. Well, long story short, her muffin was her vagina. And she had told this teacher that several times, but because mama and them had taught her to call her vagina a muffin, the teacher thought that she really meant a muffin. So she's like, baby, I'm sorry that daddy's eating your muffin. Meanwhile, this little girl is crying out for help. So you see, when we don't have conversations about sexuality and calling our body parts what they are, we create, first of all, a culture of silence and perpetuate a culture of potential sexual abuse, right? So we need to have these conversations as soon as possible, as soon as these kids can start talking and able to understand, talk to them in a way that's developmentally appropriate. And then also, I'm sorry, what's the second part of your question?
Dr. Tamara, speak, sweetheart. You're doing the second part. You said it's the age when you feel like they're able to comprehend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you feel like they're able to comprehend, you have that conversation. You teach them the right terminology for their body parts. We call an eye an eye. We call a finger. We need to call a vagina. We need to call a vulva, a penis, and all of these sorts of things. Because again, when we don't, we create a culture of silence, which can also create a culture of sexual abuse or sexual touching situations that are occurring, and we're not aware of it because we've already shut our children down because we're afraid to talk about sexuality. We have to understand as adults, oftentimes when kids ask us a question about sexuality, they just need that answer and that's it. Like, you don't have to go into a long explanation about the question that they asked you and giving them this long explanation and this long answer, because after probably 10 to 15 seconds, they stop listening anyway. And so if you don't have the skills, the tools, or the knowledge to answer the question, find somebody who does, that's going to answer the question in a medically accurate and developmentally appropriate way. In addition, if you don't know, say you don't know, because here's the thing, kids are exposed to all sorts of things. When I was teaching puberty education in the public school system, fourth graders were asking me about gender reassignment surgery. They were asking me about abortions. They were asking me about all sorts of things because of access to the internet. And plus they have access to their peers who we can't control what type of information that they receive. So in order to help inform your children, you have to kind of craft and create the script and the narrative that you want them to have around sexuality. And for crying out loud, if you can't have the conversation and provide them with medically accurate information because you're too busy in your issue, you are in your own way, get out the way and let somebody who can have that conversation, because you could potentially be saving their lives. It's just that simple.
Yes, ma'am. That's sad. And I never thought about that, because I've been guilty. When my niece was small, I'd say, when I took her to the bathroom, or when I went to bathe her, let Auntie Stacey watch the kitty cat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, until she told me one day when she started talking, Dr. Tamara, she got like 3 years old. Auntie Stacey, I don't have no kitty cat.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God she knew the difference. You know what I mean? But it's the little nicknames that we think are cute that obviously are not. And because I said there wasn't anything else, I'm not sure if you touched on, I was so into this part. So curiosity, it didn't make you more curious to have sex. It was a benefit for your mother to talk to you about it, right?
Yeah, it didn't make me more curious. Well, yes and no. It made me more curious to understand, okay, why people are attracted to certain things that they are attracted to. It made me curious to want to know more so that I can be more informed, so that I can educate more people. It did not make me want to go have sex. It made me prepared for when I decided to make that choice to have sex because I knew what to do. But it did not make me say, oh, okay, well, because sex, feels like chocolate, let me just go have sex. It didn't do that for me. It just made me, it just gave me more information to make informed decisions when I was ready. And actually it kind of deterred me because I was like, I don't want to, I wasn't ready for that responsibility of being a mother. I wasn't ready to, have my whole life and my childhood taken away from me because I decided to have sex, especially unprotected sex at an early age, and then God just gave me a gift to understand that sexuality was always so much more than the physical component of sexuality. Like that is something that was embedded in my spirit from such an early age. And this part of sexuality, my spirit knowing, didn't come from my mother. It came from Spirit the Most High. My mother talked to me about the emotional consequences of sexuality and the physical consequences of sexuality, but she never talked to me about the other dimensions. And I want to say it's because she did not know them herself. Just because she just didn't, but that part of my conversation around sexuality came from Spirit the Most High because it was my gift, it's my purpose, it's why I was created.
Okay, and we're gonna get there. And I'm trying to build one of the people that follow you, bedroom candy consultant Tawanda Parker. I know she's sitting there now saying, "Okay, Stacey, don't get distracted. I see you getting excited." But so when you decided at 16 you wanted to be a sex therapist, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever change your mind like most teenagers, or you knew, you could feel it, this is what I'm gonna do?
I knew it was actually 13 when I decided it, and I knew. And looking back now as an adult with my third eye, I can see how I was chosen, consecrated, and initiated at age 13 because of my spiritual beliefs. I can now see how that all rolled out for me. But there's nothing else in this world that I ever want to do. Nothing.
Wow. So you went on to become a sex therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you authored books.
Yes.
What made you author the books?
My first book, my first two books people don't really know about because I don't really promote them because they were just kind of for me, but they're erotic poetry books. And I wrote them just as something that I want to do because I love poetry, I love spoken word. And when I first initially began my career in the field of human sexuality, I was all about pleasure. I was all about, yes, women need to own their bodies, have agency over their bodies, reproductive justice and pleasure, And so those books were related to mostly pleasure and also the pain of heartbreak. And then I wrote my actual self-transformation book or self-healing book. It's called Live Inspired, Feel Empowered, acronym for LIFE, was based on my relationship with my ex-husband. And it talks about relationships and how they can destroy you, mind, body, spirit, and soul, and why we even get into those relationships and what we can do to get out of those relationships should we find ourselves in one, and how to prevent ourselves from getting back in those relationships. The next book I wrote was I Am Sex. And I wanted to write about human sexuality because after all, I want to be a sex therapist and in the field since I was 13. So I had to write this book. And so finally, when Spirit gave me the words and the manuscript to put on paper, I did it, and I was really proud of that. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I don't have to write another book. And the Spirit said, no, love, you have some more books in you. And so then that's when I wrote, It's Not the Birds and the Bees, It's Sex, because Spirit said folk need to know how to talk to kids about sex and how to talk to them in a correct way. So that's kind of like a more to how do you do how do you have this conversation with kids, and why we don't have this conversation, and how to have it effectively. And then there came V, which was a love letter to every woman and girl, which is all about the relationship, the disconnect that we have with our vulva, based on all of these different things in our conditioning and our past, and so on and so forth. And then the next book was F That, Don't Shrink. And that's about how we shrink as women in society, based on all of our past experiences, our conditioning, and what we need to do to reclaim our authenticity. And my next book, which I'm super excited about, and unfortunately it got pushed back because of everything that's going on in society, is called Womb. And this, oh my gosh, I'm getting chills. Ooh, this book is the embodiment of really who I am at my core, and my authenticity and my spirituality, and the knowing of the divine feminine spirit and energy that we possess and that we are, simply because we are women, and the power of our womb space that we fail to harness because of all of these different reasons. That's coming out very soon, probably by the end of Definitely by the end of May. I won't say the end of April, but because things got pushed back due to the pandemic, I will say for sure by the end of May. And I'm excited about that.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, sex therapist, right?
Yes.
Author.
Yes.
And you have your books on relationship, you said, based on your ex-husband. So then as you began to grow even more, you are now... Your title, please.
Listen, okay. I guess we would just say womb healer, sacred womb healer.
Okay. Am I correct in saying you're in a more religious position, like more religious information? Have you moved away from what you used to do with the?
Yes.
You have.
I wouldn't say religious. I would say spiritual, because I do not subscribe to any. Let me fix that face. I don't subscribe to any religion.
Okay.
You know, there's nothing wrong with religion. It's just not my particular path, and I don't judge anybody who's in that space, because that's their space. Just as my space is my space, and I don't expect to be judged in my space. But if I am, that's fine. That's not my ish. That's theirs. So I will say that, yes, the nature of my work has shifted. If anybody who's been following me, especially if you are with Bedroom Candy, you have had the opportunity to see me shift and transition. Like I said, when I first started, my very first business was Beautifully Me LLC. And I started that in Los Angeles in 2004. And that was really like a home party company. I had a drop shipment company where I was selling the sex toys, doing the home parties. I also was doing the pole dancing classes. Back then, pole dance, it was brand new. Nobody knew about it. It was like 3 of us in the country that was teaching it. The lady who created the phenomenon, the lady who trained me and myself. So it was really an interesting time. And that's when I had just left my ex-husband. And so, yeah, I was about pleasure, body agency, reproductive justice, owning your sexuality and your sensuality, and understanding the orgasms, because women are the only people who have the only organ in the body, the human body, that's known for pleasure, so, and how do you please your man, so I was teaching all these classes, like, female orgasm classes, blowjob class, like all these different things I was doing.
Really?
But as I have shifted, there's nothing wrong with that space. I just know that there's so many people in that space that are doing a phenomenal job that space no longer is mine. I feel as if I've passed that baton to those who have come after me or along the side of me that are new to this field. And I think it's a beautiful thing, because working with Bedroom Candy, I have had the opportunity to train the new consultants. In fact, my book, I Am Sex, is a part of their product line, their official product line, as one of the guys that helps to train new consultants that come in. And I've also done webinars and video conferences, been the keynote speaker at their conference for several years now. But like I said, Spirit always gave me the gift of knowing in a different way. So my conversation shifted from the physical aspect of pleasure to what I call the dimensions of sexuality, which is a more comprehensive framework for sexuality. So I help people to understand that our sexuality was not just physical and emotional, but it was spiritual. It was energetic, or it is spiritual. It is energetical. It is biochemical. It's institutional. It's legal. It's political. It's ancestral. It's historical. It's cultural. sexual. It's all of these different things. I know I've forgotten some, but it's all of these different things. And anytime we experience any imbalance in any of those areas, we're going to experience disease or dis-ease in the area of sexuality, which is our life, right? And so that became my framework for a very long time, helping people to understand those dimensions. But then as I continue to shift and grow, and spirit continued to embody me, they said that phase of your life and your work is done. I need you over here. I need you healing wounds, because that is where life starts. That is where the essence of life is. The sacral chakra, the womb space, is the seat of life. It is the seat of creation. And I need you to do work around healing women, because when you heal women's womb, you heal not only them, the individual, but you heal the ancestral imprints. You heal the lineages. And not only do you heal the lineages of every woman that came before them, you heal their legacy, right? And so that's the kind of work that I do now. Yes,
ma'am. So how hard was it? Difficult? You taught the pole dancing classes, and before I go on with this, I see a couple familiar people popping on. They're late, but I'd like to say it is very important for the mothers that have just come on to start this video from the beginning, and please do a replay, because Dr. Tamara was talking about speaking to your daughters. So please do that. Now back to you, Dr. Tamara. Thank you. How hard was it to go from I am sex to teaching the pole dancing classes to talking to women about pleasure and to selling the adult toys? How hard was it to transition and say, this is who I am now?
It wasn't hard, because it was a natural progression. And like I said, as I sit back, which I do quite often because I love to reflect. I'm all about growth. I think life is a destination. I mean, a journey. It's not a destination. And so I'm constantly looking back and reflecting and seeing where I've come from to know and help inform where I'm going. And so when I look back, it wasn't a hard transition in terms of the professional work that I do, right? Because it's who I am. It's my purpose. I know that's why I was created. I know that's why I incarnated into this life, because it's who I am. It's what I'm supposed to do. But now, outside of that piece, I think it was more difficult for other people to accept and to understand.
Okay.
It was more difficult for people who knew me or who thought they knew me, like my family members, some of my friends, for them to kind of grasp and wrap their mind around what is Tamara doing now. Because see, I've always been different. I've always been the black sheep, the rebel, the maverick, the one that kind of colors outside the lines, not intentionally, but because that's just who I am. And so it was kind of unexpected, but not unexpected, because see, when you grow up in a Christian household, when you grow up in a religious context, in a religious framework, anything outside of that box, it triggers people. So it triggered a lot. My growth triggered a lot of people in terms of who I am and how I began to live out loud. See, I always knew these things about me to some extent, but when I decide to be more unapologetic about it and embrace it and embody my authenticity, because I got tired of shrinking because of other people's expectations of me, it was more difficult for other people to accept. I feel that. But not personally, the growth, it was hard because in some extent, because I had to unpack a lot of my ish. I had to do a lot of healing to get to where I am now.
Can I ask you, what happened to make you said you've always felt this, right? Mm-hmm. So it's destined for you to be who you are. Mm-hmm. What happened? What happened to make you say, I'm going to do it?
I was sitting on my patio in North Las Vegas some years ago, and I wasn't happy. I was miserable. And by societal standards, by familiar, cultural, all of these different standards, I should have been in bliss. I should have been in heaven. And I should have been, just happy, because by successful standards, I had published all of my books except F That Don't Shrink and Womb. So I had already published, I think there's 5 books I had already published. I had been on TV, several TV shows. I had been on several radio shows. I was working with Bedroom Candy. I was doing all of these things. I had just opened up my dance studio in Las Vegas. So she doing a damn thing, you know,
Right.
my language. But that's what people thought. And I also had gotten my doctorate and my PhD, you know, in human sexuality. So, you know, I should have been like just in this particular space and place. I had gotten married again, and you know, but I wasn't happy because I was living the life that everybody else thought I should live. Tamara, don't do this. Say it this way, but be careful how you frame it, because this group of people, or if you frame it this way for this group of people, then this group of people. And I got tired of being a marionette on a string dancing for everybody else except me. And so one day I was sitting on my patio, and I was just sitting there drinking coffee, and I asked Spirit. I was like, well, why? Like, why am I not happy? And Spirit said, I'm gonna have to break you. And I said, what do you mean break me? Because that's how I talk to Spirit. We have a very intimate and close relationship. And I said, what do you mean break me? I've done the work. I healed. I wrote a book called Live Inspired, Feel Empowered. What you mean I need to, you know, heal? And Spirit's like, that's cute. That was real cute surface level healing. But in order for you to truly walk in your power, in order for you to truly embody your authenticity and do what you really came here to do, because you did some cute stuff, I need to break you until you're broken and put back together as the person I really need you to be. And so he broke me. They broke me down, and I scattered into a million billion pieces of myself. I got so good at throwing a pity party, I started inviting folks to my pity party. And so out of that came the book, F That Don't Shrink, because there would be a concept, a topic, some experience that I had that would come to me each morning as I sat on my patio or balcony. And it always started out morning cup of F that with coffee. And so then I would talk about whatever that particular topic was and go on and go on. And little did I know that Spirit was turning that into the book, F That Don't Shrink, which was a healing paradigm on how to heal and walk in your authenticity.
Okay, I'm checking to make sure our video isn't freezing up. Okay. So I have to get this question out, and I want to make sure folks are seeing everything, Dr. Tamara. Okay. Let's see. Who is Spirit?
Spirit. For me. Now, for Tamara.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I think you're freezing up.
You're freezing up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Now I can. Who is Spirit?
Okay, for me, for Tamara, and I'm speaking for Tamara only, because I can only talk about my relationship.
I don't know what's happening. Okay, who's Spirit?
Okay. For me, for Tamara, I can only talk about my relationship, but Spirit to me is God, the Most High, the source of all there is. And I call them Spirit, I call them
Dr. Tamara.
Yes.
Are you having a weak signal?
No, nope, I have full strength. You're frozen, but I'm not frozen on my screen.
Dr. Tamara?
Yes.
I'm not sure what's going on.
You know what's going on? Listen, they're trying to intervene in this conversation because they know it's about to get real and they're not ready.
Wait a second. Let's see. We may have to, and I'm going to have to do some editing with this giggling and breaking up when I post it. Okay, let's see now. It should be better. It should be. Let me go out and check again. And I'm going to edit this before we go on. Let's see. Because I think it's very important that I want people to hear it all. I don't think it's because something came on in here. Let me see. Okay, beautiful.
Yes.
So can we say this one more time?
Absolutely.
Who is Spirit?
For me, for Tamara, and I can only speak for myself and my relationship, Spirit to me is God, the Most High, the source of all there is. And I call them by spirit, by God, by the source of all there is, by power, whatever name is given to me at that time is the name that I refer to spirit as, the creator.
Okay. So I was one of the ones that saw, I didn't see everything, the transition. And when you started speaking about spirit, right? And I remember I connected with you. I sent you a message because I also saw the word witch on your page. And right before I saw it on your page, I had been speaking to a girlfriend of mine, and I said to her, do you know what's going on? And I'm always honest, Dr. Tamara. I said, I'm starting to see Christian witches on Facebook. I said, what do you think about that? And she says, you know, Stacey, I don't know much about it, but I will say this. She says, man has made us believe, and I think I told you, that the word witch, because they didn't understand what certain women were practicing, was a bad thing. And she said, I believe, and it's sinking in, I think we need to find out for ourselves. So then you had witch. So really, I'm really curious now, right? And then I see you, and I send you a message, and I ask you, what's a witch, Dr. Tamara?
So you're okay. So for me, first of all, I agree with you in that there's a lot of labels, terms, thoughts, ideas, things that are thrown around into society. And unfortunately, we just go along with them. We never to quote unquote study to show thyself approved. We just believe what mom and them told us, or what pastor told us, or what whomever told us. And we just go based on that. And we interact with these situations, experiences, labels, and things based on that, instead of stepping back and saying, okay, you call yourself an X, Y, and Z. Are you identified with this particular label? Like, what does that truly mean for you? And for me, witchcraft is a person, male or female, who is embodied in the natural elements of this earth. And they use the natural elements of this earth to heal themselves and others, right? So whether it's utilizing the moon phases, right, to utilize and harness the energy of the moon, to create, to manifest, or to banish negativity, or whether it's using the herbs from the earth, which are very natural, and which is so interestingly enough, because our pharmaceutical company uses those same herbs, except they just add lots of other chemicals to it, right?
Okay.
Or it's utilizing crystals to do the same thing to heal our bodies, because these things are from the earth. See, what we have to understand and do the research for yourself is that Spirit, the Most High, God, the Creator, gave us everything we needed in this earth. But in all of our humanness, we thought we knew better. We still think we know better, which is why we are in this situation with COVID, right? COVID right now, because we think we know better as humans. But again, back to your question. So being a witch is just harnessing the natural elements of the earth, the rain, the water, the moon, the wind, the fire, all of these different things, the crystals, the herbs, to heal myself and to heal those around me, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, whether it's spiritually, whether it's energetically or chemically, or all of these different things. Oh no.
Okay. And see, you had to bring up something else, and I'm going to see if you share a little bit more. Okay. What is it that you were thinking when you said humans and what we're dealing with now, the Cobra virus?
Well, yeah, for me, this experience has been about rebirth. It's been about sitting with yourself, because see, we are in a pattern as humans that we go, and we constantly go. We intervene, we interact, and we don't take time because we're too busy. We try to block out the noise, so we don't take time to sit with self. And because of this, we continuously destroy nature, Mother Earth. And so it is my belief her spirit, that they had to shut us down completely, sit us down so A, Mother Earth could heal, but B, we can also begin to sit with ourselves and to redefine some of these patterns and some of these behaviors that are toxic and that are destroying us as human. We had to be set down. We had to become non-essential because spirit had to let us know that, listen, none of you all, nobody, not from the celebrity, not from the doctor down to the person, quote unquote, the poor person or whatever, the homeless person, none of you are more essential than I am, because I am the creator. I am spirit. I am the most high. And none of you know better than me. So sit yourselves down somewhere and be easy and be humble. And so it is my belief. That's why we are in this space that we are in. And we will be here until we recognize that our humanness is limiting us and our capacity to be who we are in our authenticity and what spirit has created us to be.
Wow. So for those watching, have you been speaking about these things on your page? Have you been speaking about this on your page on Facebook for those that want to follow you?
Oh yes, I actually I'm always posting something, some message that I get from spirit, because the way my relationship is set up with spirit, I can speak to spirit, or spirit can speak to me through a sign, through a symbol, through a rock, through a flower, through a gust of wind, through this glass of water with these blackberries in it that I'm drinking. So I'm very tuned into the messages that I receive from spirit. And yes, I always share the messages that I am given, on my page or in my group that's called Sage Souls.
Sage Souls.
Yes.
Dr. Tamara.
Yes.
When you're writing what spirit is guiding you to write, when you share with others what spirit wants you to tell, when do you connect with spirit or your most high? Is it when you're quiet? I mean, do you meditate? Do you pray? Because I believe, like when I was asking you about it, some people will say, how do I say this? You didn't have a problem with me telling you, saying, do you believe in God? You didn't have a problem with that. And I know for those that believe in God, they pray, and some people meditate. And you believe in God, correct? But you say higher power and spirit, right? When are you connected? When you sleep, when you dream, or like anyone, how does it come to you? Do you have to be quiet?
Again, my personal relationship with spirit is set up, God, the Most High, whatever you choose to call them, is set up such that I connect all day, every day. I'm connecting right now as we sit here and speak. I can tell when I'm Tamara speaking and when the message is flowing completely through me. Like I said, spirit can speak to me at any given moment. Like, for example, right now, I'm getting chills. That the hair on my arms and my legs are, the little fine hairs, they're standing up because spirit is letting me know that I'm giving a message that people need to hear, that they need to hear. Because see, for me, this whole thing is about studying to show yourself approved so that you can connect to the most authentic way to God, to spirit, whatever you call them, and to develop a very personal and intimate relationship with them. Because see, some of us are so caught up in the religious of things, the religiosity of things, meaning that we're so religious that we can't step outside that dogma and that indoctrination to really have a true, authentic relationship with God, spirit, whatever you want to call them. Right? We spend so much time relying on pastor, deacon, the mother's board, the choir, and all of these different things, the priest, to connect us to the relationship with God, spirit, the Most High, when you don't need that necessarily, right? All you need is to be connected to them yourself. You don't need somebody, you don't need a go-between to have a relationship with spirit. You don't need anybody to tell you that I pray to have a relationship or I meditate, because here's the fact of the matter. Meditation and prayer is not going to work for everybody. Those are just tools, forms of communication and connection. There may be some other way that you could connect to, your creator, your God, your spirit, your Most High, whatever you call them. There could be other ways that you connect. Those are just tools. Prayer and meditation, just like song is, just like clapping of the hands, just like stumping of the feet. Those are summoning spirit to get their attention so that you can connect with them. See,
you know what? You're awesome, Dr. Theyre.
Huh? I'm sorry. What you say?
I said, you're awesome. You know that?
Thank you.
You're awesome. You know that?
Thank you. Thank you. Let me say this. It's not me. It is not me. It is spirit. And I gotta give credit where credit is due.
So, wow. So I have one more question. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
The womb healing. What is it about the womb healing that women need to know? What is it?
Women need to know that our womb holds all the ancestral imprints, all the DNA.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And for those that are like me, when you say womb, you're not just talking about the bottom, right?
When I say womb, I'm talking about the space that is located between the navel, the bottom of the navel, all the way down to the reproductive system, the genitalia. That is called our womb space. Now, inside of the womb space, we have our physical womb, which is also called the uterus, right? Because that's where life physically, literally grows. But inside the entire womb space, that's responsible energetically for life. And people need to understand, our women need to know about their womb space. They need to know that that space holds all the ancestral imprints, all the trauma, all of the pain, and all of the memories that are connected to our life and to our ancestral lineage. That is why we experience anytime we are not tending to that space with love and care, grace, compassion, and kindness, we start to experience imbalances, and those imbalances look like female reproductive health conditions such as endometriosis, such as fibroid tumors, such as infertility, such as digestive issues, such as low desire in terms of sexuality, such as lack of creativity, and the inability to be able to conceive, whether it is literal conception or figurative conception. Everything that is born into this world is born through that womb space. And that is actually why it's in that space is called energetically the sacral chakra, which is why my business is called Sacral Soul, because it's all about healing that sacral energy, which is in that womb space.
Wow. So now, before we end, Dr. Tamara,
yes,
what is it that I did not ask, or what is it that you want to let the women or the people know that's watching, and please let them know how to contact you should they want your books or to follow you also?
Okay. Yes. First of all, thank you for creating this forum, because I think it's a much needed conversation and a topic that we need to have, especially among Black and brown women. We need to look at our ancestral heritage, our DNA, and look at how those imprints are destroying us and have destroyed us, and look at ways that we need to address that so that we can heal and walk in our authenticity and embody our power, because we are the bringers of life. Do you understand how much power that is? I mean, yeah, we can have babies and we know that, but really, do you understand the power of life that you have and you possess simply because you are a woman? And the power that you have to change this world because you are a woman. Life begins with us. And when we understand that dynamic and how powerful it is, we will see a dynamic shift in this society. We would see a dynamic shift in humanity. And we have to understand that power, but that begins by healing and unpacking your edge and really truly spiraling deep into the shadows of your soul to do this work. And when you do, you will not only change your life, but you will change your family's life, your community's life, and those who come after you. But you also change the lives of those who came before you. You change your whole ancestral imprint. Do you know that we hold the ancestral imprint from at least 14 generations back? So
Yeah.
doing this work heals those 14 generations, plus the 14 and even more that's coming after you. So this work is so needed and it's so necessary. And when you start to do any type of womb space healing, you need to make sure you're doing it with someone who understands the dynamic of it. These yoni steam parties. They're cute, and I'm not hating on nobody, but make sure you understand the person that's doing this work, the energy that's attached to the person that's doing this work, the energy of the people that you're having intercourse with, because we're taking something into our body. And when we take something into our body, we're taking on all their trauma, all that person's trauma, and the partner's traumas that they've had sex with, and so on and so forth. That's a lot of doggone trauma, plus your 14 generations. Now you see why you all confused, angry, and upset, messed up, because we need to heal these things. And so I say that from such a space of love. And such a place of healing, so that we can empower ourselves and our lineage and our legacy. So when you start to mess with that womb space or try to heal that womb space, make sure you're working with somebody who gets it and somebody who understands it, because if not, they're going to create more layers. And also be careful when you're ordering these yoni blends, steam blends, these yoni eggs, and these yoni crystals and things like that, because first of all, you want to make sure that they're reputable and that they're authentic, but you also want to make sure that you are not purchasing a product that's going to cause any more harm to your body, or cause any contraindications with any medications that you're taking or any medical conditions that you have. Nobody should be selling you a yoni steam blend or anything like that, or any type of herbal blends, without doing a full-fledged consultation on you to understand these things. So with that being said, you can follow me on all social media, mainly not Twitter, because I really don't even do Twitter anymore, but mainly on Facebook and Instagram under Dr. Tamara Rose. And you can go to my website to check out all of the products and services that I offer, and that's sacralsoul.net, and we're spelling that SACRALSOUL.net.
Okay. And when we get through, this coronavirus or whatever that's going on, and the travel ban is lifted, will you be back to traveling, or will you be doing more online?
Both. I will be traveling. I will also be traveling. I will be doing stuff online. And then I will also open up because I had opened up the actual space to do the yoni steam work and the crystal grid and energy healing and things like that, and the clay wraps. But because of, this experience and this learning lesson that we have the opportunity to be a part of, I haven't been able to kind of do that piece of it right now because of the social distancing and all of that kind of stuff. But once everything is lifted, that will be taking place as well. And
where is that at?
That is in Atlanta, Georgia.
So that means Stacey will see you.
Yeah, come see me. Absolutely. Anytime.
Dr. Tamara, thank you very much, beautiful.
Thank you.
And please know the door is always open if you ever want to come back, if there's something you need to speak about. I'm thankful for you.
Thank you. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm really grateful for you having the openness to be able to ask the question, what is a witch? You understand, to be able to ask the question, what is womb healing? Because these things need to be out there. People need to understand, and we need to create an openness in the African-American community to understand that we are all walks of life. We are all shades of beautiful, and we are all powerful no matter what we are, whether we agree and with each other or disagree with each other. We all have the right to follow our own path and be our own light and shine that light as bright, not dim it. You see? So yeah.
I laugh and I smile a lot, obviously, because I get excited about the conversation, and I'm just thankful. So you be safe and take care of yourself. And when you open your establishment, when this is all done out here, please tag me in it so I can let the women or, the people on my page know in case they're in the Atlanta area.
Definitely. Thank you so much for this space. I honor you as well, my love, and keep doing your thing. I'm going to keep supporting you, and I'm going to keep showing up for you as best as I can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and same here. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you for watching. That was Dr. Tamara Rose. Her information is on my page. For those of you watching, I am Stacey Thomas, Unrestricted Unlimited. I say that because I do not wish to be put in a box. I have yet to see all that God has for me. So until next time, on Monday, I will be having Rick Younger, from the actor, comedian, and writer. from the on Broadway in New York City, Mean Girls. He's also acted in The Last OG. He will be joining us at 6 p.m. on Monday. On Tuesday, to let you know a little ahead of time, we will have a delegate from Petersburg, Virginia, Delegate Latrice Aird. She will be on here to bless us with her company as well. And on Wednesday, it's going to be a busy week on Wednesday, and I'll be posting it. I will be having Sarana Blackfoot. She will be talking about prosperity management. Prosperity. Who doesn't want to hear about that? And then on Friday, we will have what I call Frisky Flirtatious Friday Day. That show will be at 10 p.m. I will have two very knowledgeable bedroom candy consultants join us. For more information, please follow me on Facebook and Instagram at I am Stacey Thomas. Thank you. Don't stress about yesterday or worry about tomorrow. If you do, you just might miss living today.